Welcome to Grit and Gravitas with Ann and Annie, bringing you savvy, spirited stories of success. We're excited to deliver 30 minutes of inspiration, impact, and goodness. We'll be bringing you guests and friends from around the country who have very special work and personal journeys. I'm Ann Deeter Gallaher, your co-host with Annie Carnathan, and this is Grit and Gravitas. Let's go! This is Easter week, Annie Carnathan. So we have dressed, for our friends and fans watching on YouTube, we have dressed appropriately today. We're bringing the spring colors.
Spring, baby. It's once a year. Let's get it. It matches our print in the
And
back.
we're going to bring out our creative side. I'm feeling kind of sassy today. We have Lorien Reese Mahay, and she is Executive Director of Theatre Harrisburg. You've got a big splash this year for the Theatre Harrisburg, and I don't think a lot of people know the history of Theatre Harrisburg, but we're going to pretend that we are, full-on theater aficionados. And
well, when you hear the birthday number, that's history. I know. So we do need to hear the origin story.
And Suzanne Graney, Lorien, introduced your name to Annie and I. And she is, Suzanne was on Grit and Gravitas, I don't know.
Party in a bottle.
2 years ago.
That's a great way of describing
I
it.
know.
Honestly.
She describes herself that way. So 5 years. I mean, it has to be 3 or more now, I would say.
And she's such a force. But I know that she's on the board of Theatre Harrisburg. It doesn't surprise me because she is a theater, like wherever she goes. You just want to engage and so full of excitement. But Lorien, welcome to Grit and Gravitas.
Thank you.
And I know you're literally behind the scenes in the theater now, but you can share all your theater assets with us. Tell us a little bit of the backstory.
Sure. So, backstory of the theater?
Yes.
So the theater was founded in 1926.
So this is 100 years.
This is 100 years.
100, looking good.
And 100 seasons. Thank you. We've aged well.
Oh my golly.
Amen.
Yes.
Amen.
Yes.
Yeah, but so it was founded by a group of women who came together.
Of course it was.
Of course it was. Is this a shock?
Exclamation point.
A group of women in the community came together in the basement of the Harrisburg Library is the way that the story goes.
Really?
Really, in the
my
public.
word.
So we actually did a reading of the first show we ever did back in
that's so cool.
the McCormick Public Library because I
Yes.
wanted to do it sort of where it all began.
Where the spark.
So do
Yeah.
you have
Turned into a
records? Do you
flame.
have all the records of all the
Yes.
productions you've done?
Yeah, we have our records. We have playbills going all the way back to 1927.
Oh my word.
Yeah, and it's kind of crazy because one of the things we're trying to do this year especially is to digitize and capture everything because we have 100 years worth of materials. And I will often be found actually with the sort of archive in my office, just sort of thumbing through everything because it's also, our history is Harrisburg's history.
Oh, amen to that. It is.
So I've gotten to know this community through the history of the theater. I got to see all of the old businesses and their advertisements and it's really cool
the
watching
big retailers that were downtown.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And just thinking about Harrisburg and what it used to be that, when people used to say that they were going to the theater, they meant Theater Harrisburg. That time it was
was a
Harrisburg
big
Community
to-do.
Theater.
They mean
Well,
all
that was
dressed
it.
up too?
Glow.
Yes, you dressed.
You dressed up. You were going to
It was
the
a
theater.
major event.
And so it was a different time, and the term community theater meant something different then than it does now in a lot of ways. Because really it just meant theater for and by the community.
Yeah.
It had nothing to do with the quality of the work. The expectation
Well, now that's
was,
interesting. That's,
Yeah.
that's an educational business vitamin there that explaining what that term means. Because
Yeah.
I don't think most people know that. So just
No.
for and by the community.
Yeah. Well, it basically means non-professional, right?
Yeah.
Like we
Very
started...
grassroots.
Yeah, we started with, they had something called the Little Theater Movement.
Yeah.
And the Little Theater Movement was quite literally people coming together and being like, well, we can't go into the big cities. We can't go into like Manhattan. why don't we bring Broadway to our own community? What would happen if theater, was in Harrisburg? What would it look like if Harrisburg had a theater? And so they sort of asked this question, and then it happened.
So was there no theater before that, 100 years
theater.
ago?
No. This was the
To
first
the women.
theater.
I got to find out, who those women were.
Well, and a lot of them actually also were the ones who were then responsible for the symphony popping up, and then you have like the Art Association
so the whole
of
art,
Harrisburg, and
the arts and culture.
Yeah, arts and culture scene really was founded by this group of very dedicated, intelligent, women who decided they were going to bring it.
I'm so impressed that you immersed yourself in the history of this. Oh, yeah. Because imagine for 100 years the passion and how it ebbs and flows, and sometimes it's an ember and sometimes it's a roaring, flame. But wow, I think you have really captured the essence of sort of immersing in that history and how it was able to sustain itself, because that was not easy.
No, I mean, you have to think 100 years. I don't think people realize how special it is for not only a theater to survive that long, but a community-led organization. This is a non-professional organization. It's largely founded. The backbone is the volunteers in the theater, and so it was only we've only recently grown professional staff. Before that, it was
tearing up.
Yeah, it was.
She's trying to get herself
I'm either having
together.
an allergic reaction, but we'll go with tearing up.
It is moving, but a lot of grit.
Yeah. Yes. Well, recessions,
resilience.
depressions,
Exactly.
floods.
Yes.
I mean,
Life.
some of it, life. Oh,
So
there's
there's
a lot of
100
life.
seasons. So Lorien, how many plays are there a season? Is this one production a season?
No. So, I mean, right now we average about 5-ish productions, maybe 5 to 6 productions. They actually used to do even more. I think back when it was sort of now everything we do, we build. So we build the set, we build the costumes, we build everything. So there is no sort of touring component. I mean, we will pull things we have in stock. We'll, reuse what we can and things like that. But I think when it used to be a little bit more we'll put a sofa on the stage and do a play, you could sort of turn out more artistic content. But one of the things that makes our performances really special is not only that everything has been built by people, but also, you have live orchestras that are featured.
So are those part members of the symphony, or are these just members?
These are members of our community.
Wow.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's always... What's really cool is there's the occasional professional that will always pop in there.
Yeah.
A lot of times it's I used to be, a professional equity actor, or I used to be, I used to play in the symphony. The amount of talent in this community is incredible.
So talk about that. I love that. I was just going to say, how do we compare? I don't have a litmus test. We can't compare to Broadway, but how do we compare with other cities our size?
I mean, I think there's two things that are exceptional about Harrisburg. I mean, when you think about it as actually being sort of a small city in a lot of ways, I think the amount of talent that is concentrated in this area is pretty incredible. I also think that the fact that this community is able to support so many arts organizations simultaneously. I mean, if you think about the other arts organizations, I mean, the other theaters in the area, 30 years, 40 years, the symphony's almost 100. I mean, you have a lot of things that have been supported by this community for a long
And the
period
capital
of time.
city had a lot to do with that.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And the sort of melding pot it was for people coming in from throughout the state. So that's a really fascinating part of the origins of Harrisburg. So just to pivot for a second, Lorien, you uproot your entire family.
Yes.
You don't know probably anything about Harrisburg. You look at a 100-year legendary institution, in my opinion. Yes. And what was your belief and conviction and passion to do that? That's a really big...
And what drew you? Yeah.
Yes. Gamble.
Well, so it didn't actually draw me at first. I came here by accident. My family, we were traveling in the post-COVID, quotation marks, period. And we got lost on our trip. Seriously.
This is awesome.
So we were actually...
The gems we uncover here.
I know.
It was one of those things where, a lot of family in the Midwest and everything else. So we're like, well, on the way there, we'll go this one way. And on the way back, we'll go this other way. And we'll visit everyone along the way, And so we switched, my husband and I, at one point, and plugged his GPS in.
Oh, my
and
word.
ended up, we thought we were 15 minutes from our hotel, but it turns out we were 15 minutes from the wrong hotel. The hotel we were supposed to be going to on the way back from the trip. And so we suddenly are sitting here with very young children in the back seat who have been in the car now for hours. And we're like, what are we going to do? We're going to lose our minds. We have another couple of hours to travel.
Oh, my.
My son and his brilliant, 8-year-old brain or whatever was like, well, maybe we should just get dinner. Let's calm down, Mom.
Let's take a time out,
Let's take a time out, Mom. Let's just get some food.
Food helps everything.
Exactly.
Right.
So we looked up a place to eat nearby, and we turned off of the highway and into Harrisburg. And I didn't actually know anything about Harrisburg. And it was so funny because we turned off the highway, and I think, the first time you come across it, I think people don't realize how special it is that you're just you turn off and all of a sudden you're like, what is this place?
Yeah.
On the right is the water.
I think it's
and
beautiful
it is
too.
beautiful.
I do.
And there were all these families and people are jogging and they're out, doing things. On the left are all these historic properties.
Yes.
It's gorgeous. And then we turn in to go get our burger and there's the Capitol. And you're like, where am I?
It is enchanting. We take it for granted.
It is.
This whole area is incredible.
It is. We're sitting here, eating a burger, staring at the Capitol building. And
so that was your first introduction to Harrisburg.
It was, and
the Lord had that GPS.
I was just going to say, I think that's providential.
Right. Within the word for the year that year was serendipity, right? Because that was it. And I actually typed into my cell phone, and I said to myself, I wonder if there's theater in Harrisburg.
Oh my word!
Because of course you would.
Yeah. So while we're here, right? I wonder if there's any theater here, and it popped up Theater Harrisburg. And it popped up that they were looking for an executive director.
Oh my God.
And in all seriousness, we went to the cabin that we were supposed to go to that night. And I sat on the floor of the cabin and said to myself, am I really going to do this? Am I going to go from New York? Am I going to apply for this? To even think about it.
Just going into an interview and telling that story, I feel like what other...
We missed that at coffee.
No, I know.
What other... the
headline. No one could compete with that. Oh my God.
Oh. Yeah, it was what, 96? It was 96 at that point. Wow. We were in our 96 season. But it was one of those things, though, where I was like, if there's anything I can do to help this theater reach its 100th, I feel like I need to do it. I need to go and
So then you
this.
applied then, or did you think about it the rest of your trip?
No, I applied that night.
Oh my word. I didn't know that story.
I just felt, for lack of a better term, I just sort of felt
drawn to
called
it.
To do it. I just felt maybe I should just see where this leads. I don't know,
But don't you think working in the arts, you almost need to feel called. It's not the typical thing, I'm going to go to school for this, but if you aren't emotionally drawn to your work, which is, adds to the culture, especially in theater. I'm sure it's not 9 to 5 for you, obviously.
No, it's a hard thing, being both in the nonprofit world and in the arts world. And in an arts world where everything happens at night and on the weekends.
Yes.
And having young kids and having, and everything else. It was something where when I came for my interview, it was the first time I was like, I'm bringing my kids.
Oh, good for
you.
And
my husband. They went they went to meet everyone.
It is important for the whole family, though. They have to go to a new school. They have to leave their friends. Yeah. Your husband
How old were the children then?
Lyra would have been...
I love that name.
Thank you. I guess she would have been about 3 at that point.
Oh, so super young.
Yeah, and my son would have been... And about 8, 9, something like that. So yeah, you're talking about kids who were either not starting school yet or just starting, in elementary school.
And your husband, did he have to uproot his job too, clearly?
Yes, although we got lucky because it was 2021. He had already moved remote. Because he was a professor, but all the classes were still online at that point. So he just kept teaching. Yeah. It was for him,
right.
He was like, well, I could teach from anywhere.
Right.
It's, it was one of the benefits of COVID actually was that we were able to keep
luck
going.
Is always where opportunity and hard work meet. I really do think you make your own luck. Yeah. I mean, I think there are more fortuitous things, maybe less challenges in certain things, but when you say you got lucky, like there just was so many things colliding in the right way. It's just, I'm a little bit gobsmacked.
You had to do your research that night, you don't know, opportunity didn't present itself until you started to dig a little deeper.
Well, and what was crazy was they had just redesigned the website, so there wasn't even anything really on the website. All I knew when I was coming into this is a 96-year-old theater located in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. And, I was able to find a couple videos or things like that online, probably taken illegally. Yeah. I didn't even have a full season. They hadn't announced a full season because they didn't, they were coming back from shuttering from COVID. And so we hadn't reopened yet. My first day that I was officially on the ground as the executive director was the day we reopened.
Oh my word!
From shuttering, Mm-hmm. So I got to come in and
so was that
see.
2021? What was that?
It was October 2021. Yeah.
Wow.
What was one of the biggest things you learned about yourself in that first 6 months, a year?
That's a good question.
Because to me, I think if you're holding on for dear life.
Yeah.
You have a new house, you have a new town, you have kids. Wow.
Yeah. I think, I had always been someone who had been the associate director of everything. Mm-hmm. This was the first time I ever actually stepped into an executive director
excitement.
Position.
Which is a huge
Which is another big thing.
Yes,
like another big change. I think, the big thing for me learning wise in that period of time was I learned that what I had thought I was coming into was really, it had 96 years of history. I assumed everything's been figured out, right? It's going to have a really strong base and we're like jumping, we're like launching into our 100th at this point. Yes. And then you realize, first of all, COVID has changed everything.
Right.
And the crystal ball, any crystal ball we had in the arts is broken. What worked before doesn't work anymore. What we think should work doesn't work. And so you really start to realize that you're like, no one knows what they're doing.
Right. Right.
We're all just in here trying to figure it out,
Right.
And you're going to have to be okay with constantly trying and constantly failing and sometimes striking success and not even knowing why. But there was some comfort in that too, in this acknowledgement that it wasn't that like, me stepping into this role and struggling or trying to figure things out was because I had never done it. You know?
Right.
Well, and you had to rise up as a leader because nothing you just described doesn't happen without a team.
Yes. Yeah.
And doesn't happen without enormous currency in who follows you.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And the work they do, because you cannot do it all.
Yeah.
And so to be a new leader at that caliber and to sort of delegate at the same time, you go like, you have to get this because I have all this stuff over here.
Yeah.
So that probably taught you a lot about a team.
One of the things that was a benefit is I've always really loved like building team culture. I really appreciate the culture of organizations. And I just come from an organization where it was a communication, like it was Alan Alda's Center for Communicating Science. Oh. So everything that we did was all communication based. It was all like, so I like to think that the first 3 months were sort of my listening tour, right? Good. It was meeting all the other leaders in the community.
Bravo for you.
Thank you. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it made such a tremendous difference. Mm-hmm. It felt like it was slow, right? It felt like it was progress that most people come out of the gate swinging, and instead I was like, this is a lot of listening and a lot of thinking and a lot of taking in the community.
Each one was a brick because you look out and you have a piece of land now and you have to build it from the foundation up.
Yeah, correct.
So what advice do you have, Lorien, you talked about this trajectory of, trying and failing and trying and failing. Mm-hmm. What advice do you have to younger women, especially, who find themselves in a similar situation? Clearly you didn't give up and you weren't dissuaded by that. You were able to build a coalition or a team. Any advice for younger women in that situation?
Yeah, the big key for me really was surrounding myself with other people. It was acknowledging that there was no way that I could do this by myself. I couldn't know everything and learn everything by myself. And so a lot of it was finding other leaders in the community, other women in the community, people who were doing similar positions to me, and just surrounding myself and being open to hearing their own journeys and what they had done. Because I think, they also saw something in me that I didn't quite see in myself at first. And so when I struggled as a leader, it was nice to be able to be like, maybe I should just believe them, because I see how exceptional people like Suzanne are. And if she thinks that I'm exceptional,
that's a
then
really
maybe.
Good point. Sometimes we've had episodes on imposter syndrome where we talk about, and I'm always amazed at some of the most impressive women I know, talk about it behind closed doors. Yeah. And I think if they're feeling they're an imposter, we're all sunk, because they really have reached the pinnacle. But I love the fact that sometimes we just have to believe those around us who see what we don't see, or, see our potential and believe in us when we're not quite sure about that.
But I think the strongest, securest, most confident leader knows what they don't know and knows that there is someone better at most things, because the grace with which to hand that off is, to me, much more secure and confident than sort of lording over everything and trying to control everything. The leaders that know what they don't know and surround themselves with people that's their superpower and can rise up. A team, by the very definition of it, is good at different things.
Yeah.
And a leader coalesces that and leads the entirety of it, but is also a really important part of it.
Did you find it challenging as you came in here? So you're coming from out of state, you're not new to the theater world. So you're bringing your own expertise, which was phenomenal. But you also have to introduce yourself to the community, because it's community funded, correct? It's, largely. Yeah. I'm sure you have grants, but you have to. You're not the development director, clearly, but I
actually am.
So you are the face of the theater then in the community. So was that did you have to bridge that gap of really, you could listen for 3 months, to your team, but even you probably felt you had to get out and meet some of the decision makers in the community to sustain funding.
Yes. Well, and when I met those people, when I met funders who had been, or people who had been involved with the theater for 60 or 70 years, people, this theater means such a tremendous amount to this community.
Well, I love that.
People don't recognize that it's,
deep roots.
It has very deep roots, multi-generational
roots.
I love that too.
Like my great grandfather was here, and then my grandmother was here, and that I think the Krevsky said they had like 7 generations of Krevsky. I mean, it is this long-standing, deep-rooted organization, and I think, one of the things I learned right away was there had been a hard period of time in the theater when we changed over leadership a lot, and the community felt different ways about that. Yeah. And so I remember having this one meeting with someone, and she was like, you're the 5th person I've had this conversation with.
That's tough.
It's tough emotionally.
Yeah. And I know, I was like, wow,
just
I'm
like
the
turnover
5th
at a company.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. No, that's emotionally draining for people.
Well, and you have to then you realize, okay, the task in some ways is surviving, which is weird, but I have to prove that I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah.
That we have
only
stabilized.
one way to do that.
Oh, exactly. I'll see you again. I'll see you again in a few years, and then we'll have this conversation. Because I recognize that what they really need to see is that this is going to be a change that's
You're
going
committed,
to stay.
yeah.
You're
Grow your own
committed.
roots.
Yeah, and I think it does help though that when I came into this, I loved the idea that we were looking for a community. Our family was looking for a community. And so it wasn't
that
this
too.
huge,
Yeah.
it wasn't a huge risk in the sense that it was like, we didn't feel like we had a community where we lived,
Yeah.
and we wanted that. And when we came here, it was something, I loved the idea that this organization belongs to the community. I'm not looking to sort of like put my stamp on it and be I really, I want to be part of the history of this. I want to be a good steward of this organization, but it belongs to the community. So it's a different calling, if you will, when you're not trying to prove something. You're trying to listen to the community and get back to or lead a new way into what this organization needs to be according to who the community is now, and not who it was 100 years ago.
It's one thing to say anything, but to prove it, you have to do it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not what you say, it's how you act.
Right.
And how you demonstrate that.
Yeah.
So 5 productions a year at Theater Harrisburg.
Yeah.
And we have a fair amount of young people in our listening audience to Grit Gravitas. And my strong guess is that a lot of them have never been to a community theater.
It's possible.
So, do you have a message for them? Like, why should younger people care about a community theater?
I think, my background, I went more in the professional route, actually. And so I had my own preconceptions about what community theater was. And I always thought, it just means that it's not good theater.
Or just not Broadway theater.
But what
Professional.
Yeah. But what I realized was, a lot of times it still is professionals. These are people who are retired or who have started families or who decided they just didn't want to do the grind.
Yes.
They wanted to actually have a job and receive a paycheck and have health benefits and know that, everything is okay.
And be home.
Exactly. And that's where I also disconnected from that pathway. Was I was like, I realized, I was watching people who were in one job. They already had this great leading role, and you think that's it. They've arrived and they're already auditioning for the next show. Yeah. And you say, but why? They're like, because I need health insurance. Yeah. I can only go so many weeks without it. And I say that though, because the quality of artwork has always been high, especially in this organization.
Wow.
And amateur just means non-professional.
Yeah.
It does not mean that the quality is not exceptional.
Good.
And people can see it as soon as they walk in the doors. Good. They also, it feels like home. Like it is, when I walked in through the Krevsky Production Center, it felt like you were walking into a space that had held over 50 years of people's artistic visions, community. And so you walk in and you're just like, oh, like this is...
So a young person who's never been there before would feel that this is pretty surreal. And this is, I do feel at home. Yeah, I feel at home. And what's more, I feel like I have a chance that if I wanted to figure out, maybe I want to be in a show. I don't know. Like maybe I want to try painting a set or building something in the shop or working in the costume shop or, maybe I want to be a volunteer or try and usher, I mean, it's a place where the great thing is that there is an opportunity for everyone. There's a place for everyone. Love that. And it's, just we could be ushers. you could be. I'm not good at painting a set, but
you'd be a better usher than I would. How about that?
Ushers, Annie. Yeah. We could take Grit Gravitas to Theater Harrisburg.
I mean, one of our board members, Mike Greenwald, like Mr. WITF.
Yes.
He's been involved with the theater for over 70 years.
Oh my word.
This was his first theater experience, was at HCT, Harrisburg Community Theater. He started working, I think he said, in the concessions area as a volunteer. When he was in high school, he went and saw a production there as a free student initiative, basically. And that's what began his love of art, what began his love of theater and the arts in general. Oh my word. But, it is exceptional, and one of those things where you're like, you never know what the seed is. You don't know when you try something if it's going to be like, oh, I wonder if this is the thing I've been missing. Yeah. It's just, art is an outlet. If nothing, it's a community, it's an outlet, it's a space for people to just, for a moment, put the world aside and just be in community with other human beings.
I love that.
Not all who wander are lost.
Yeah.
So what is the production currently?
We are opening Godspell.
Oh.
Yeah, at the end of this month. Yeah, April to May, we're doing Godspell. It's a wonderful, fun production.
Good.
And it's great because it's like, for people who love the original, it's fantastic. But we're actually doing the 2012 revised version.
Okay.
So they updated it slightly.
Okay.
From not only the beloved, 70s sort of vibe, but it's slightly updated, and it's just a fun production. And then in May, we have our 100th Gala.
Okay, so tell us about that. Where is that?
That's going to be at the Willows at Ashcombe Mansion.
Oh, love.
We're saying it's called Follies and Festivities. It's a 2-part centennial celebration.
Oh.
So the gala is Act 2, if you will. But Act 1...
I love it.
Right? You love a good theater.
I love that. Yeah, of course it would be Act 2 and Act 1.
Yeah, of course it would. Act 1, we're doing a groundbreaking collaboration with the Harrisburg Symphony.
Oh.
And so we are going to be doing Follies in concert at the Forum May 30th and May 31st with the symphony and conducted by Maestro Stuart Molina. It's a really cool collaboration, especially because ever since I've come into this area, I was like, I wonder if the symphony would ever do a musical with us. I know it's out of their
for you.
thing.
Did you make that ask, or
I made that out. I waited. That's the key. I waited 4 years to make that ask. I was like, one day we're going to do something.
I love that.
With the symphony. And also, but I also have to say, Matt Herron and Stuart Molina and everyone at the symphony have been so amazing.
Gifted, yeah.
Yeah, they're so gifted, and they're also just so
great humans.
Welcoming. Yeah. Matt was actually one of the first executive directors I met in this area. Someone else introduced us. Amy Hall introduced us because the way she introduced us was, Matt, you're not the newest kid in town anymore. This is Lorien. She's the newest executive director. Yeah. So, and I've kind of kept that going, though. Anytime a new executive director has been introduced, I'm like, you want to get coffee? Because I'm not the new kid anymore.
Nice.
So, yeah.
Nice. And Deeter Gallaher, guess what?
Well, I was just getting in.
Isn't Lorien delightful?
I know. I was getting my theater vibe on. Yes.
And,
so, Lorien, where can we find out more about you? If someone wants to go to a show, where can we dive in? If they want to take part in Act 1 and Act 2 of the Centennial.
Yeah.
Direct us. Where could they learn more?
So it's all at theaterharrisburg.com.
Okay.
That's easy.
It's easy. And they could find out how to volunteer. They could get tickets to the gala or tickets to the concert, tickets to Godspell. We also have, normal box office hours, 10 to 2, Tuesday through Friday. But in general, the website or social media, especially Facebook and Instagram, are the easiest ways to track us and see what we're doing.
So I'm so glad you got lost.
Yeah.
Honestly.
And during your busiest time, thank you so much for taking a little bit of time with us. And a shout out to my co-host who's taking one for the team today. She's clearly not feeling well. And so really appreciate her each and every show. But thanks for today. This was really fun.
Thank you, Lorien. And I can't wait to see Godspell. So we're going to put that on our tickets.
I love it.
And get there. We'll take Grit and Gravitas on the road to Theatre Harrisburg.
You do the red carpet.
I know.
Grit and Gravitas.
Thank you so much. And we're excited to follow you on the 100th anniversary.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate it.
Good. All right. High gear ahead.
Thanks for listening. It's our desire that these stories will bring energy, ideas, and fresh thinking that you can use today. Subscribe to our podcast and follow us on Instagram, and have a high gear day.